Welcome to everyone. Today we are discussing about another topic on computer network, which is leaky bucket algorithm. So in this session, we are going discussing about these two important topics, which is the leaky bucket algorithm as well as token bucket algorithm. So what is this leaky bucket algorithm? So the leaky bucket algorithm, in the name itself is there should be a leaky bucket. So we have to, when using this one, we have to control the rate network values only. So when the n number of information is transmitted, we have to understand the flow control mechanism. So we have to control the data rate in the network. So that is the calling as a leaky bucket algorithm, which is helpful to implement in the single server queue, which is a constant service time. For example, we have n number of autonomous systems are there. For example, I am using 2 autonomous systems are there. So at the same time, one autonomous system 1 is compared to autonomous system 2. Here I am establishing the 10 different rotors are there. Similarly, here I am establishing n number of rotors are present over there. So here what happens? We have to control the rate value. At the same time, this should be able to implement in the single server queue mechanism that we calling as a leaky bucket algorithm. So if the bucket is full, bucket is overflow, then we calling as overflow should be happens. What are the overflow should be happens? That should be simply discarded. When you see this one, the image perspective. So here, generally what happens? We have is one kind of a bucket is there. The tap is open that one. The bucket is a small kind of force over there. So what happens? The water should be leakage. A drop by drop values. Right. If the tap is higher, data rate is there. What happens? This bucket is full. What happens? Overflow should be happens. So here the leaky bucket algorithm, which means here what are the information we cause, or the information we get the information, the arrival rate is that should be very slow manner, and here we have to maintain a one kind of bucket structure. So based upon the bucket, some kind of leakage over there. In the leakage, the water is dips. What is leakage out in with the same hole, the constant data rate value. We have to maintain the constant data rate value. This must be suitable to the incoming flow value. So what happens here? We have to maintain the constant data flow, constant data rate value. The information is transmitted. If not, the flow is very faster. What happens? The overflow should be happens. Incoming is very high. Outgoing is too slow. The data is very slow, or leakage supply is slow. Then there should be overflow should be happens. So similarly, this should be in the form of this a leaky bucket with water kind of structure. Same way we discussing about the packet kind of manner. What is a packet? Instead of this a tap kind of structure, we having as a host computer. What is host computer? Here we having as a transmitter kind of computer structure is there. So here what happened? The host computer is continuously send information to the receiver. So packet by packet information is transmitted. So here what happened? So while the interface is containing the leaky bucket value, so this has to hold the packets, right? So what kind of information we have, that bucket has to hold the packets, and next one, so based upon this leakage value, slowly information is transmitted to the network region. So that we calling as a leaky bucket algorithm. So but how we are able to enforce that one? So leaky bucket ensures that one, it enforces a constant output rate, because we having as, when see this one, we having as a limited kind of leakage is there, limited kind of data rate is there. We have to maintain a constant amount of data rate, because we have to maintain the regulated data flow value. It has to maintain the equal amount of average rate. That should be a burstiness of the output. So there's nothing when input is ideal, because the still information is going on until the bucket is empty. Right. Next one, if host injects one packet per clock tick onto the network, the result which having as uniform flow of packet is there, because we have to maintain the smoothing of this smoothing of information transmitted. So here reducing the congestion should be happens. So here what happens when the packets are same size? When the packets should be same size, the incoming flow is same. So one packet per one tick is okay. So it should be having as a variable length should be happens. The butter flow or else the variable flow, the packet should be happens. There should be a fixed number of packets should be happen. There should be a per tick should be happens. For example, we are getting this 1024 per cycle is there. For per tick 1024 bytes are coming. So it allow only 1024 byte packet or 2512 packets, or as 4256 packet on one tick. So we have to maintain the data flow kind of structure, the limited kind of structure values only. So how much amount of incoming is there, and based upon them we have to choose the outcoming packet structure. If you get this 1024 bucket, so apparently we get this a single 1024 or twice 512 or less 4 256 packets are there. So that should be happens. That we calling as a leaky bucket algorithm. And when you see this one, the leaky bucket algorithm, we have to maintain the data rate perspective. When you see this one, here fixed amount of data rate is there. We have to maintain a fixed amount of flow is there. So there should be fixed data rate is there. But instead of this fixed rate, burst amount of data flow is there. So what happens if the bucket is full? If the packets are full, so this should be overflow should be happens. So what happens here? The burst amount of data rate should be happens. Some amount of transmission should be failed. Some amount of frames are packets are failed. So when you see this one, in this leaky bucket algorithm, similarly to the previous queuing mechanism, so same arrival is there. If the things are ideal, the queue should be ideal, allow the network, if not discarded. But if what happened between the queue processing technique, between the queue and the processing technique, we have to use this a leaky bucket mechanism, leaky bucket algorithm, which means we have to manage the constant data rate. We have to maintain the remove the packets at a constant data rate, process the value. So here the important point, we have to understand the important point. What is the important point is to make a note of this one, the leaky bucket algorithm, which means a shape of the algorithm, the shape of the traffic density algorithm, it has to maintain a fixed rate traffic by averaging the data rate. So it may drop the packet if the bucket is full. It may drop the packet, the bucket is full values only. That is the important point. And another important thing is the token bucket allows the traffic, busted traffic at a regulated maximum rate. So in a leaky bucket, so what kind of traffic shaper is there? How we are able to reshape the values? What kind of shape the structure is there? So you see this one, incoming packet structure is changes. If a number of packets are available, the server should be taking information. So we have to maintain the shape of traffic. How we are able to maintain the shape of traffic? So that should be, we have to maintain the buffer of incoming packets. We have to analyze that one. Whether it is 2 frames or 2 packets or 3 packets, we have to understand the frame. We have to design the size of the structure values, the packet structure values, and accordingly we have to choose the shape traffic. So we have to understand the buffer incoming packet and play out periodically. So to confirm our parameters, as well as any kind of buffering is there, we have to simply smooth out that one. And if any possible packet is there, any losses is there due to this buffer flow, that also we have to understand that one. And that should be restrictive, because we have to confirming that does not mean any completely smooth value. We have to restrict up the things. So next one is important thing is token bucket algorithm. So what is token bucket algorithm? So in contrast to this lower bucket algorithm, the token bucket algorithm, the output rate is vary, which is depending upon the size of burst. Previously what happened, anything should be happens, if there should be overflow should be happens, if the data rate is very high. Here what happened, so it has to allow the data rate should be vary. So the token bucket algorithm is bucket hosts the token. So to transmit the packet, the host must capture and destroy one token. So but we have to understand here, the tokens are generated clock rate, we have to maintain the respective delta time values. So if idle host or the idle capture is the idle situation is there, we have to save the tokens, which means we have to based upon the size of the tokens values or as the bucket structure values, we have to understand the value, send the larger bucket values. That should be a larger burst should be larger. So when you see this one, here what happened, the previously the leakage should be happens. Here what happened, the continuous flow should be happens when one token is added the bucket to every delta taken, every delta time. So the burst has to hold the tokens and then release the network. When you see this one should be before the loading information. After that one we have to release the value, hold the values and release the value before and after this token bucket algorithm. So this token bucket algorithm, so here CM structure and the queuing manner structure, so what we discussed in the previous session. So here between this queue manner and the process manner, so one token is removed or which one token is discarded per the cell transmitted time, which is once this is the open token, open like the bucket should be overflow, the bucket should be added per tick should be moved to the value. So one token should be removed and discarded per cell transmitted. So what is a traffic shaper? Previously discussing about we have to adjust the traffic shaper value. Here also we have one server is there, we have to adjust on the traffic value. But this one, this has to be additional here. We have to understand the token size value. What is the size of construction value? If any tokens arise periodically, so that should be regular the traffic density value. So that is regular traffic should be happens. Transfer of packet happens. if any insufficient, for example, if sufficient token happens, the packet is enter the network without delay. But if any insufficient should be happens, it discarded. So the key determines, which means how much amount of busted time should be allowed in the network. So that we're calling as a K value, which means how much amount of bustness allowed in the network that we having as things. And what is the comparison which is suitable for us, which is leaky bucket algorithm or a token bucket algorithm. So the leaky bucket is simply discard the packet, but token bucket is does not. It does not discard the packet. It discards the simply tokens. And with the token bucket, the packet can only transmitter. The token bucket, the packet will be transmitter. If there are enough tokens, it covers the length in byte. But in the lower bucket, in the leaky bucket algorithm, it sends the packet an average rate, but the token bucket allows the large burst. It should be send faster value by spending the or else by speeding up the output value. Because here just a faster rate values, but the leaky bucket we don't have that kind of facility. We have to maintain the average rate of information transmitter, and this allows the saving up of token to a large kind of burst should be happens. But here in the leaky bucket we don't have that kind of facility. So what is this traffic shaping? When seeing the leaky bucket algorithm in the previously we discussing about, so we have to understand this traffic shaping method policy and how much amount of bucket should be transmitted based upon the packets and unregulated overflow value, and at the same time we have to interfacing with the containing bucket value. So that may we adjust the tuning of this mechanism. We have to understand the mechanism to understand the packet structure. So we have to get the accuracy value. We have to maintain the granularity level. So, but what is token bucket algorithm? Is similarly previously discussed. So based upon this delta t values, but you have to maintain the whole kind of k kind of parameter. So I conclude this session. So in this session we have discussed about what is the leaky bucket algorithm and what is advantage of this leaky bucket algorithm and what is the token bucket algorithm. What is advantage of this token bucket algorithm? So here one should be happens in the form of these tokens, and this should be happening in the form of this frames value. That should be the difference between leaky bucket algorithm and token bucket algorithm. If any data should be discarded, any kind of failure should be happens, one should be in the form of this tokenized level, and there is in the form of this a frame kind of construction level. So those kind of policies we discuss in this the leaky bucket algorithm and token bucket algorithm. And in the upcoming session, in the next session, we are going discussing about this resource reservation, and which means we discussing about circuit switching as well as packet switching. So what is resource reservation? So when information is transmitted from one end to another end, so what kind of reservation we made that one? For example, while the information is transmitted from one point to another point, so in the resource section we have to reserve the reservation. So here, so this resource we have to use the future perspective, or else I'm ready to send the information. So we have to reserve this mechanism that we're calling as a resource reservation. And to handle this mechanism, to handle this information transmitted in a bucket formation or else the resource formation, we follow some kind of mechanism that is either circuit switching or else packet switching kind of structures we are discussing about in the next session. That is resource reservation, circuit switching as well as the packet switching. Those kind of topics we discuss in the upcoming sessions. Thank you.